So the other way to build a station is you come over to the controller tab and you can go to System Builder, and in System Builder you can go create new, go to the wizard. I'm going to drive out to a location where I want to build this, and I'm going to build this in the same location I did the last one, Documents, go Studio Test, and I'm going to make a new folder called Systems. Well, I don't actually have to create the new folder because I can rename it, and I'm going to it'll rename itself automatically. So I'm going to delete that and just go select folder and then call this System 2. Next. Oops. Since I already had that there. There we go. Next. Use a virtual key. Go next. Use OneDrive for the robot. Next. Now here is where things get a little more tricky. Is here you've got to go to and drive out and get the right key for the positioner. So I'm going to hit this key button, and actually I'm pretty sure this is what this is. ARBPA. Yep. So a single. So if you go to IRB and media pool, program files or program files x86 ABB industrial IT robotics IT media pools, you've got a list of standard media pools that comes from with the ABB systems when you install them. So the one that we're going to use, this is an A positioner. So we want a single. So multi would be multiple robots. Single would be a single robot. The next, this would be single with a robot travel track and an L positioner. R, different types of positioners. So I just want an IRBP, an IR positioner type A, and I'm going to use an external key and bring one external key over. Now when building a Wolf key, you can make your own keys. We have specific keys that are for Wolfware and other documentations and other things, Miller, Lincoln, whatever welder we have. We've got our own keys or additional options that we have for that. So then I'll next through this, and then here we get to the same menu we had before, but this one we cannot make bigger, which is the reason why I go through and minimize these screens. So I'll go through and minimize these ones. You can pick an additional language. I usually use Spanish and Portuguese, but for this I'm not going to worry about it. So go through and make the selections. Try to go through this one a little bit faster. But now here, the key is we have to go through and, so that's all the ones for this. We've got to go through now and select the actual robot that we have. So here we've got a 2600 robot. It's a 1.85. And also you have to select the drive to make sure you've got the right drive system. So I usually use the latest, so I'm going to use 2009. Actually this one didn't have the older versions available to it, so I'm going to go 2009 2600 because I got a 2600 robot. And oftentimes we just max out the drives for the virtual stations. So we'll get all the different drive options. So we'll go next, 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 and finish. There's been bugs in the past where if you didn't go next all the way to the whole thing and then finish it, that it would crash your system and it wouldn't work properly. So that's out of habit, we do that. So the system is now created, and we'll hit close. So now this system here is currently sitting on this station, so I'm going to go through and I'll use station 2 now for this example. So I'll go through here and I'll just delete this one. It'll delete some other stuff as well. So remove system. Do you want to keep the data in the station? No, that's fine. Do you want to update the position? Yes. And so there we go. So to move the robot, and the positioner, I already detached it earlier, so it wasn't an issue with this one. So then I'll go through here and bring in that robot again. You can either bring in the robot or let the robot bring it in automatically, or let the system bring it automatically from the robot systems, from existing now. So we want to bring in an existing system. So we're going to go add, and we're going to drive out to our system. Here it is. Do a select, and I'm going to select system 2 this time. We'll import new libraries, that's fine. So we'll hit OK, and we'll just go through and let this one bring in. If you want to use existing, then you have to actually map it yourself and tell it which one goes to which part in your system. So if you've got a track, if you've got a robot, you have to tell it which robot you're selecting or tell it which position you're using. So this will start it up and it'll bring in its components automatically. So here it's going to give you the robot, it'll bring in automatically. Now here it's going to give you a selection of what positioner you want to use. And I used, I think it was a 500, 700, something like that. So I'll just bring a new one in for this example, hit OK, and it's going to bring it in to its home position, sitting like there. So I've got 2 here, so that's okay. I'll just go through and move this one to match the same location as this one and delete off this one. So I'll just go through and delete this one right now. And here, this one right here, I'm going to set position, right click S or right click set position, and go 1000, 0, 0, and flip it around and apply. Close. The robot, I'm going to set its position up 500. Now as soon as I hit apply, it's going to ask me some questions. Do you want to move the task frame? No, because that's going to move everything around it. So I'm going to hit no. Not all base race flame definitions are in accordance with the virtual controller. Do you want to update the controller configuration and restart? You can hit yes to this. What that's going to do is in your mock file of your positioner of your system, it's going to tell it that, hey, your robot's not sitting on the ground, it's actually sitting up in the air. So if I hit yes to this, it's going to restart it, and I'll show you what this looks like later in the controller tab once this gets restarted here for me. What that does is it generally only updates the robot. Since I moved the positioner, so here we go. The positioner is defined as not the same as the virtual controller. Do you want to update this in accordance to the virtual controller? I'm going to hit no, and I can hit don't ask again for this mechanism, but we don't have to. Once we get it set up right, this should all work normally and without this error. So I'll hit no, I don't want to update it. And to update it correctly, I'll go to controller tab and then edit system. Now on the station, I'll go use current station values. Now these values might not be the exact values of where this was put. That's because how ABB creates their libraries is oftentimes this is where that value of that is right there, but oftentimes it's not the exact location of where things you think would be. So this is the location of that. So arm axis 2, this is actually the location of the spin axis of where this is spinning about. This axis here is 1000 out, 700 up, but it's 180, but even though we didn't have that ideally set at 180. So it might not match what's on the set position values. If you have it moved by something, you can select it as moved by something, but since the robot, this is the positioner, we don't have it moved by anything. So then there's the robot, and you can see this is now updated with the 500 millimeters value. So then we hit OK. Do you want to restart the controller? Yes. And now it'll restart, and it shouldn't give me that error again. So I'll wait here for this to restart. Okay, there we go. System's up. System's running, just as it should be. So now I'll go back to the Home tab. I'm going to attach these 2 parts to the positioner. Do you want to position? Yes, yes. Attach the move the robot torch to the robot. Do you want to update the position of the torch? Yes. Okay. Now here I'm going to go through create work object, and there's going to be OB station 1 false. Does the robot hold the work object? No, the robot is not holding it. Is moved by mechanism? Yes, the station 1. Programmed, it has to be true if it's a stationary work object, such as a table, and it has to be false if it's moved by a positioner. Oops, false. Now in Robot Studio, it's not specific, because usually when you do like a reach study, you don't know exactly where your work object is going to be at, so I just usually leave it at 0. So I don't set up the user frame or the work object frame, I just leave it sitting at 0. So I'm going to go create it, and it's going to be right there with the same orientation and location of the positioner. So now we are set up and we are ready to program. We can go into ABB or add-ins and Arc Welding Power Pack.